So there's a few scenarios there. The simplest ones we can lay out here for you. The Bills can clinch that number 1 seed in the AFC with the win plus Kansas City loss. Bengals can clinch the North with the win and a Ravens loss. And the Dolphins can get the nod there in the playoffs with a win plus the Jets losing to Seattle. All right, the fellas join us here. Pete Prisco and my guy Charles Davis here as we get closer. Let's look at the AFC. We look at those pictures here. You got the Bills and the Bengals when you look at the top spot, still looking for that number 1 seed. But how might this shake out? By the way, both of them are still on a win streak here as we head into that matchup there on Monday night. What you got here, Pete?
Yeah, look, the Buffalo Bills, to me, are the best team in the league, but they get a tough scheduling spot here, having to go to Cincinnati and play them, and they're red hot, like you said. So it's a tough situation, but I still think Buffalo will find a way to win this game, and then they'll end up winning the last game and being the number 1 seed. I think they're the best team. You know, the one issue we had with them, one of the main issues was could they run the football? Well, they ran for 254 last week against the Chicago Bears, and that tells you that they're trying to get that area of their game improved for the postseason because they throw it around a lot, but you have to be able to run when you need to run, and I think that's the next step for the Buffalo Bills. So, like what I see from them, I think they end up with the number 1 seed. They're the best team in the AFC.
And Pete, what was best about Buffalo running the football, because I think you and I agree on that one, I've been saying for well over a year now, a big back in Buffalo is a really good idea in December, January, February football. All right? But their big back is Josh Allen. But what was best about what they did in Chicago, in horrible conditions, of course, was that Josh Allen was their 3rd leading rusher. That is fantastic for them. If he's not the primary ball carrier, so much the better, a few less hits for him. The kicker in this ball game to me, though, is Joe Burrow and that Cincinnati offense, which felt like they left a lot on the field against New England, wore it out to a 22-0 start, got off the gas, made some mistakes. All of a sudden, it's a 22-18 ball game. They win it, and Joe Burrow said, "I'll never apologize for a win." But at the same time, they feel like this offense still has a level to go to. They can get higher on what they do and play better. So after what happened in New England, I expect them to come out full force in this one. Although it'd be interesting to see Akeem Adeniji now full-time at right tackle instead of La'el Collins. Adeniji, you remember last year, a part-time starter at guard on the Super Bowl team. I'm loving this matchup. Can you imagine this? Week 17, Monday Night Football. Can't get much better than that.
Starting the year off right there Monday night there in 2023, of course. The Bills have been at the top of the AFC. It's staying in that division, CD. Tua back in concussion protocol, 2nd time this season. The Dolphins, by the way, 4-game slide. They hold that 7th seed, but how does this kind of maybe put a wrinkle in their postseason hopes for them?
Well, it puts a big one in it because we all remember when he was out with a concussion before, missed 3 games. Dolphins lost all 3 of them. And they've been a streaky team all year, as Pete will be happy to tell you. They would win a few, lose a few, win a few, lose a few. And right now they're on a 4-game slide. So it throws a big wrench in it because the big key is, can Teddy Bridgewater come back from the knee injury he had earlier this year if he is indeed the quarterback on Sunday, which I expect him to be? I find it hard to believe that Tua Tagovailoa in concussion protocol again after what we saw earlier would play this weekend. That would surprise the heck out of me. But can Teddy Bridgewater get the ball to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill in the same manner that Tua has gotten the ball to them? That's going to be the key in this ball game because they're going to need some big plays in order to expand that Patriots defense. Because if they don't, now you got to deal with Matthew Judon, Josh Uche getting after the quarterback and getting at him in the pocket. So that's where the wrinkle comes in for these Dolphins.
First things first, Tua needs to worry about Tua. You know, all the time we hear in the NFL, oh, what's good for the team? It's good for the team. Take one for the team. No, don't take one for the team. He needs to reevaluate where he is right now as a person and a player. This is the 3rd concussion that he's had this season. There's something wrong there. So if you can't play football the next 2 games, big deal. Figure it out. Get yourself right. This wasn't an enormously big hit that he took in this game when he suffered this concussion. So I'm concerned for him as a guy moving forward. He's not going to play the rest of the season. That would be ridiculous if he plays the next 2 weeks. I would be astounded. But that's why you brought in Teddy Bridgewater. Look, the team, they can tell you all you want. It's all for the team. It's all for the team. The reality is, once you're gone, you're gone. They don't. I mean, let's be real. So he's not part of the team. They have to kind of regroup with Teddy Bridgewater. That's why you brought him in. See if you can get into the postseason.
Of course, Charles, you're on that call there when they face the Patriots this Sunday there between the Fins and New England. Pete, the Jags, look, they're in the driver's seat in the AFC South. They have Houston this week, which almost means nothing, but that last game against Tennessee to close out, chances they claim that division title in this one.
They're the better team. The history says they're going to have problems with the Titans in Week 18 no matter what. And the Titans are a depleted team. Jacksonville is better than them right now. You look at the quarterback situation. Malik Willis hasn't thrown for over 100 yards yet. So Jacksonville should win that game. But believe me, I've seen it before. They were the better team in '99, and they lost to them 3 straight times, including in the championship game on their home field. So until they get over that, I'm not just going to sit here and say they'll win it. They should win it. They're the better team. They have the better quarterback, and I think they will win it. But I'll tell you what, history is a great indicator sometimes, and the Titans have got the best of them over the course of their history. So it's easy to just say they'll win that. They will probably, but I'm not going to say it's a definite.
And Pete, how about this? When we started this season, and then really after the quick start by Jacksonville and they went into their slump, when we thought that division was locked down for Tennessee, remember Indianapolis waved the white flag. Matt Ryan pulled, right? They'd lost twice to Tennessee. They fired their coach, the whole thing. We thought this thing was a fait accompli. Now here we are. Who would have thought that we would go into Week 17 and Tennessee would look at their schedule and potentially say there's certain guys that will not play on Thursday night versus Dallas because that game doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is beating Jacksonville. Yes, Jacksonville over Dallas in the season finale in Week 18. It's a strange year in the AFC South, made stranger by these circumstances that were going down the stretch. And I agree with you. Right now, Jacksonville's a better football team. The quarterback is playing at an elite level in his second year in Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence. So the one thing I focus in on in this ball game, if you're Tennessee and you look at what you have to present on offense, you come back to one inescapable conclusion, I believe. You have to lean on Derrick Henry. I don't care if there's 7, 8, 9 in the box. Your mission, offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, is to dig people out and give him some type of a crease. You run it, and then you run it again. Because Malik Willis, if he's throwing it 30 times, there's no chance you have him winning this game as I see it right now. I would hope that he would prove me wrong. But the way they've played, they want to limit his throws anyway. So it's Derrick Henry running it. It's some jet sweeps. Can you get Treylon Burks and the other people involved? Can Malik Willis get some quarterback run game? Old school, rock 'em, sock 'em. You know it's coming. You have to find a way anyway. To me, that's the way that they have to go about this game. Lean on the best thing that they have and go. And we'll find out in 2 weeks. I'll be interested to see what they do on Thursday night, though, Pete, against Dallas.
So we have to wait one more week when it comes to the AFC South, at least Week 18 between those two. But overall here, Pete, Dolphins, they hold that final spot. We know that. But 3 teams at 7 and 8. You got the Pats, Jets, and Steelers, and the Raiders at 6 and 9 with the outside chance. Who kind of claims that final spot of those 5 teams there?
Well, I think the winner of the Patriots-Dolphins game has a real shot to win it. The problem is, how does Buffalo play Week 18? I think they'll be playing to play, so that means New England's going to have to beat Buffalo probably, and I don't know if they can do that. So, look, I think Miami will ultimately get it by beating the Jets in the final week of the season, while the Patriots lose to the Buffalo Bills because I think they'll need the game. So I'll go with Miami, even without Tua in the lineup.
And when I look at it, I think, Pete, you hit on the key thing. This is one of those years where I don't think that the top teams will be resting people Week 18. There's too much to play for. Buffalo will probably still need to play to cement home field if indeed they're in that battle. If Cincinnati beats them on Monday night, Cincinnati needs to play in the same manner, hoping Kansas City somehow takes the loss. All that comes into play, so everyone plays down the stretch. So that's a lot of fun for us as observers and as fans. When you get down to it, this Miami-New England game, if you're a pro wrestling fan, this is a loser leave town match. Okay, this is one of those big ones right here, right now. Let's go get it done. And both teams will not be at full strength, but can Miami's weapons still be activated? And can New England find a way to get some guys going? Kendrick Bourne emerged for them last week. Will Marcus Jones play a little bit more on offense for New England and give them some bigger plays? Tyquan Thornton hasn't given them much of anything, but he's a 4.28 sprinter. Can you find a way to get him going? I think that game's intriguing. It's not just because I'm lucky enough to be there to watch it.
Our friends from Sportsline giving the Dolphins the best chance there. You saw just 57% there. All right, Pete and Charles, appreciate your time. Don't go anywhere. We're not done, but taking a look at the AFC playoff picture as it stands right now, a few things to kind of watch here. The Patriots eliminate from the postseason with a loss in Week 17. The Raiders eliminated this week with any of the following: a loss, Dolphins win, or Jets win. And then looking ahead to 18, as we talked about the Titans and Jags, winner will claim the AFC South regardless of what happens in Week 17. So almost a mini bye, and we'll see what happens between those two. But it all comes down to the final week of the season for them. Coming up, we'll take a picture at the NFC. Eagles might be the best squad in the league, but the door's still open for the Cowboys to claim the NFC East crown. Pete and Charles with more on the other side, on that side of the conference. All right, taking a look at that NFC playoff picture as it stands. You got the Eagles there sitting atop 13-2. They clinch a playoff spot. The Vikings and Giants secure their division. Of course, the Bucs sit at 4, but they have some more work to do. Wild cards, it looks like the whole NFC East division with the Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders there at 6 and 7. Then you got the Seahawks, Lions, and Packers, and Panthers and Saints. They need some help, but there's still a chance to maybe get to that final spot at 7 in the NFC. All right, Pete and Charles back in here with us on HQ. And Pete, let's look at the Green Bay Packers, because many of us thought that they were cooked a few weeks ago, but they won 3 straight, half a game back of the Commanders for that final spot. There's a 32% chance they can get in, but can Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the Packers get it done?
Well, I think they can get what they need to get done. The question becomes, does somebody lose to help them out? And I think that's the biggest issue right now. And you talk about Washington, and if you look at Washington, they play a winnable game this week, and then next week it depends on what happens in this week. But I think they're going to have 2 winnable games. And when you look at it on paper, because Cowboys might not be playing anybody next week, so I definitely think they have 2 winnable games. And if that's the case, then I think Green Bay, even if they win their next 2, they're going to have problems getting in. The Giants are in play as well, but the Giants don't face really any tough challenges either, I don't think, because will the Eagles be playing anybody the following week? So I think there's some situations here where you look at it and you say, the Packers might do their jobs, but they still might not get in.
And I'm going to stay there from where you left off, Pete, with Green Bay, because Brandon said it perfectly. A few weeks ago, we thought this was done, and there was a conversation, and Jordan Love was like that little kid in the NFL commercial a few years ago with Cam Newton, where he's windmilling his arm and said, "I'm just warming up." And Jordan Love thought he was warming up, that he's going to get some run, and it hasn't happened because the Packers have stayed in it. He's like, "Are you kidding me? I thought I was going to get to play and showcase myself at least for the rest of the league." That's out the window, and I think Pete's right. That can happen. But let's not overlook this Minnesota Vikings team, because I thought if there was a time for them to be had, it was last week, even though it was at home against the Giants, coming off of that emotional, coming from 33 down to beat Indianapolis, the Giants coming in with everything that they needed to try and win the game. Could they have enough in their emotional tank to get it done, meaning Minnesota? They have a white out. They're wearing all white at home. Somehow they had enough to get it done and win their 11th game by 1 score or less. That's unbelievable. It's an NFL record. There's something about this Vikings team. Whether you want to give them credit or not, they're doing something right to get that done. So I'm not in the camp of, well, Green Bay's got it all. They're in good shape. Yeah, that's fine. Minnesota would love to come in there and kick Green Bay. You know what kind of rivalry that is, Pete. So let's not overlook these Vikings going forward. And then, as you said, the rest of those division races play out. The Giants have Indianapolis and then Philadelphia. Things could break just right for them, and I think they just need one of those to get in.
So the Packers still have a pulse. If you look at the NFC South, everybody in that division has a pulse as it stands right now. The Panthers looking for the sweep against the Bucs, and Tom Brady, look, he's been swept by a division opponent twice this year, Pete, in his career, against the Saints in 2020 and 2021. Can Carolina get it done, or are the Bucs going to hold on here?
It's interesting because when you look at this Bucs team, and we've said it week in and week out, I think this is the week they're going to look like the Bucs. This is the week Tom Brady's going to look like Tom Brady. And every single week, it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened yet. He hasn't looked close to being the same quarterback. He's been jumpy in the pocket. His offensive line's been bad. Now they have another tackle down. Josh Wells is down. Protection issues are a major problem for Tom Brady. And we flip it to the other side. Look, Carolina's not great on offense, but what they can do is run the ball. And we saw it last week. You know, the Lions went in there giving up just barely over 80 yards a game in their last 8 games. And they ran for over 300 yards. You know, that's not getting hit by a truck. That's getting hit by a fleet. They ran them over. That's terrible. And I think Carolina can go into Tampa and do the same thing. I'm not sitting here saying Tom Brady's back, and if he gets into postseason, he's dangerous, because they haven't showed it at all this season. So I think Carolina has a real shot to go in there, run the football, and win the game.
Pete, I think that you're on track here. I think this is much less about Tom Brady, although he's always going to be the story if he's involved. TB12 getting into the playoffs. You and I both know that behind the scenes, all the networks are like, if there's one team coming out of the South, Tom Brady should be. We need Tom Brady's team to come out of the South because he's the biggest story. But the bigger story to me is the Tampa Bay defense. Can they tackle people? And last time I looked, Pete, Vita Vea, who's one of the best run stuffers in the game, he was watching a game in street clothes again. Is he going to be available? Does he have a chance to play? Todd Bowles' defense is predicated on getting you in 3rd and long, 2nd and long, and coming at you with some incredible exotic blitzes. But if you're running the ball down someone's throat, and as Steve Wilks, the head coach of Carolina, who's a defensive coach himself, kept telling his guys last week, there's nothing more demoralizing for a defense than when you cannot stop people from running the football. When they have the chance to run it and they can run it on any down and you can't slow them down, that takes your heart away from you. And that's what they did last week against Detroit. They have that chance to do it again. Remember again, Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, and heck, Raheem Blackshear, the rookie. All 3 of them participate in a big way. 2 of them over 100 yards. That's how they're going to come at Tampa in this one until Tampa shows that they can slow them down.
I don't think Tom or anybody in that division thought the division would come down to 7 or 8 wins. And we could say the same thing about the NFC East, where we've always joked they were the NFC East least. But you can argue that's the best division in football as of right now. All 4 teams are in the postseason if it started here. And, Pete, it's never happened in the NFL that they've had all 4 go to a playoff. Does that change here with the 4 here in the NFC East?
I think it does change, and I think the schedule is the reason it changes. I don't see the Giants need 1 win and they're in, so they'll get it against the Colts. You know, you look at Washington; they could lose a game and not get in. But here's the problem: they play Cleveland, who they should beat, and then they play a Dallas team that's going to be locked into the 5 spot. So what are they playing for? They'll rest guys. So I do think all the teams will get in, and Green Bay will be the one that just misses out on the postseason.
And I never thought possible. I think we had this discussion, Pete, somewhere around mid-season, where I totally was in the camp of, no, we're not getting 4 from one division. It sounds wonderful. It's great conversation. But you've posited it perfectly. It's set up right for someone to get in. The one thing I do know, having watched this league for my 58 years on this beautiful earth, something always goes haywire down the stretch. There's an upset somewhere that we didn't see coming. There's Andy Dalton throwing a touchdown pass and getting the Buffalo Bills into the playoffs. There's all those things that kick in. I think that's going to kick in one more time, and it'll be 3 teams in the NFC East getting in, and 1 will not go. I really think that Washington, unfortunately, looks like that team to me that'll be out, and somehow Green Bay sneaks in and gets it done.
Commanders are 7-7-1. So, fellas, we've talked about every team in the NFC. You got the Eagles, Cowboys, and Vikings. But what about that number 3 team, Pete? You got Brock Purdy, who's performing at a high level. The defense has been the best in the league. How scary are the Niners going into the postseason on an 8-game win streak for you?
I say it every week. They play defense with 12 men. That's how good they are on defense. There's 12 men on the field the entire game. That's what it looks like. When you watch the tape, it sure looks that way. They fly to the football. They can get after it. They can rush the passer. They're physical. They have a great defensive coordinator who can scheme things up. I love what they do on offense, and Purdy is good enough, he's proven that, to take this team deep into the postseason, if not win it all. They have so many weapons on offense, and they're good at running the football, and they can throw it with McCaffrey. And look, but it's about the defense. 12 men on the field. They should start the game, throw a flag. They have 12 men on the field every single play, or at least it looks like that, and they can use that and carry themselves all the way to the Super Bowl. They right now are the best team in the NFC.
And I don't disagree with that at all. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago as well. And I was all in on the 49ers, and people were saying, but the Eagles. And I was like, look, not that I don't respect the Eagles. I just think the 49ers are a better football team. And Brock Purdy has come in and assumed the mantle in a way that I don't think many of us could have seen coming. You know, when you're the last pick in the NFL draft, you're supposed to come in with a little bit of deference, maybe a little bit of doubt. Not this young man. He has come right in and just said, I can do it. But I keep coming back to how Kyle Shanahan has put together this offense in San Francisco. Even when they weren't having great success, Pete, you remember? C.J. Beathard put up numbers. Nick Mullins put up numbers. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo. Trey Lance was going to be their guy this year. It is a quarterback-friendly offense if you handle it the way you're supposed to, and Brock Purdy is made for this. Everything around him, he'll take care of business. And as you mentioned, the defense, like a Canadian Football League team having 12 out there, Nick Bosa, as good as it gets. They got Eric Armstead back. But one thing to keep in mind with this 49ers team, they are playing like a team that has been healthy all year long, that has gotten through with the bulk of their squad. That's not even close to true. They filled in different spots. Different people have moved over. Guys have come back. It has been an amazing story watching this team continue to play well, even though they've had their own share of challenges, especially in the injury front.
I'm glad to revisit this. Both of you guys said the Niners are the best team in the NFC. I'm curious to see where they are in the AFC if we were to put that all together. But, of course, we got a few more weeks to get that out. Pete Prisco and Charles Davis, appreciate your time. I want to break down the NFC playoff picture, of course. It's all about scenarios. The next couple of weeks, the Eagles can clinch one seed in the NFC there with the winner loss by Cowboys, Vikings, and Niners. The Eagles lose. They can still clinch, of course, the NFC East with the Cowboys loss. The Buccaneers clinch the South. Tom Brady going into the postseason with the win. That all happens. But, of course, others on the outside looking in, hoping to make that happen for a postseason run. Hey, don't forget to catch the crew, the Inside the NFL. You got James Brown and the fellas always breaking it down. Everything with the closer we get to Week 17. You catch it streaming on Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.